down, power lines are down.
Message of 290 characters follows.
Hey guys, welcome into another episode of Grid Down Comms Up at the Bench. Today we're going to pick up our series on field portable antennas, improving our performance, and operating in the field in functional and hopefully durable antennas. Today we're going to talk about HF. HF is a little different than our previous video on VHF and UHF because HF antennas by nature can be a little more fragile, but they're also easier fixed. So there's a little bit of an offset to that. We're going to talk about that a little in depth as we look at some antennas. So you guys have seen several of these antennas already on my channel. If you've watched some of the field deployment WinLink check-in videos that I've done, you've seen some of these antennas in action, okay? And I'm going to show you guys a handful of HF portable antennas that I use for field ops, and kind of tell you when and where I use which antenna and some of the reasonings behind why I use those antennas, okay? So we're going to start first with the ultimate in lightweight. You guys remember the build video for the K6 ARK field portable antenna, okay? This antenna weighs almost nothing. In fact, I'm going to get a scale here in a second, and we're going to weigh some of these antennas as we go. This is the lightest HF antenna that I have. It's currently set up with this 24 gauge silicone wire. This stuff is very fragile and it's easy to break, so you need to be prepared to replace it. You could also easily do it with another wire I'm going to show you guys that is a 26 gauge copper clad steel that is quite a bit more durable, but it's also it's springy and it doesn't roll up quite as neat into a small bunch. This antenna will work on 10, 20, and 40 meters. So it doesn't do 80. I could very easily add another bundle of wire this size that I could add on to extend it to 80 and use it for 80. And that's actually in the plans. I just haven't cut the wire yet because I don't do a lot of portable ops with this configuration at night. It's just not something I've done, so I haven't really needed 80 meters on this one yet. You'll see 80 capabilities on some of the other antennas I'm going to show, but this one has so far just been an ultralight day antenna. All right, guys, got our scale here. Let's take a look and let's see how heavy this antenna is. So, K6 ARK with all its trimmings here is 3 ounces. So it doesn't get much lighter than that for all you ultralight conscious folks. And we'll even, just to kind of add to it here, I add the piece of coax that I carry with this antenna. We'll talk a little more about this in a second. But with the coax, we are at 5.9 ounces, 6 ounces, not even a half a pound. So if you're into the ultra lightweight stuff, this is a great option. And then we'll talk about this too. So with the string that I carry with it, it is 7.7 ounces, so not quite a half pound. Pretty doggone lightweight, right? All right, so let's talk about another antenna that I use in the field. And you guys have seen this one. We're not going to talk too much about it. Very similar to the K6 ARK. This is the QRP guys antenna. You can see it's about 6.2 ounces. Again, this one is only cut for 40 meters because I really only use it in the daytime. We could add 80 really easily. It's a touch heavier than the previous antenna, but it is still a very lightweight and frankly much more rugged solution than the K6 ARK antenna. This one would be the one if I was going to be a little more abusive on my end-fed half-wave that I would pick for a QRP antenna. All right, now we're going to talk about the fact that I have the opinion for HF antennas that antennas aren't bought, they are built. We're going to look at some antennas that I have built, and I think this one has made an appearance in one of my videos. This is an end-fed half-wave. I know a number of you guys that have come to a few events that I've been at have built or left with one of these. This antenna does 10, 20, 40, and a sliver of the 80 meter band. This one is tuned to operate from about 3.580 to 3.6 megahertz. And it is only about 70 feet long. So it is a short 80 meter antenna. You take a performance hit because of that, but it does work. It's a 40 meter section of wire with an additional length of wire with a loading coil that allows us to operate at 80 meters with a short piece of wire. And that loading coil is actually removable. You can just unplug it here and take it off if you want to, and you just want to use through the 40. So this antenna weighs in at about 7 ounces, and it does all the way into the digital portion of 80 where I need it to work. Great antenna, and this antenna is not really a QRP antenna. This antenna will run 100 watts, no problem. I wouldn't run 100 watts continuous digital with it, but for SSB, it's no problem with 100 watts. And for digital, if you want to run FT8 forever on it, then 30 watts would probably be an appropriate level. Great working antenna. I absolutely love these things. I have built a number of them, and like I said, this is one of my favorite. If I'm running an end-fed half-wave, I'm probably running this one in the field. And this wire is that it's DX Engineering's 26 gauge copper clad steel wire. Has a break strength, I think, of around 30 pounds. So you can pull on it pretty good and it won't break, unlike the silicone wire that is a bit more fragile but more flexible. It also won't stretch the way the other wire does. So overall, really good choice for that. Super lightweight option. And if you guys want to see me build one of these, I'll do a build video on one of these. But really one of my favorites of the built antennas. And this one, really, I said I was going to talk about use. If I'm doing a field operation and I need to set up an antenna for HF in the field that I need to set up quickly and want to set up as a sloper or something like that, this antenna is probably the go-to antenna. If I was hiking in somewhere or that kind of thing and needed a quick setup, quick teardown antenna, this one is probably the king of that particular operation, especially when combined with a roll of this little string to suspend it with. Okay? Build your own antennas, guys. You learn so much, and it's not really expensive. I mean, there's, I don't know how much money in this whole thing. It's not a lot. It's if you buy your parts and stuff in bulk and you got access to, or a friend with a 3D printer or something, you can build these things for around $20, $25 a piece. Store back a few of them to loan out to friends, if you know what I mean. That is the end of the end-fed half-waves. We've talked a lot about end-fed half-waves because I wanted to get that out of the way. If you've been around me personally very long, you know that end-fed half-waves are not my favorite antennas. They have their place. They're a quick setup, quick teardown antenna. They're an easy multi-band antenna, but while they're all that, they have some efficiency penalties. And if you watched my last WinLink check-in video, when I did a 250, 300 kilometer check-in running 300 milliwatts, so 0.3 watts, you will know that I did not do that with a end-fed half-wave. Could I have done that with an end-fed half-wave? Maybe. But when you want to squeeze every watt and you need the most efficient antenna and you need the simplest and most rugged antenna, the dipole is hard to beat. It is the baseline antenna for any kind of radio testing or operations. It is the reference by which all others are measured. You ever see that number in the technical data for an antenna that says so and so many decibels plus dBd? That is decibels over dipole. So they are using a dipole antenna as the reference there and then measuring to see how many dB stronger that Yagi or whatever it is. So there's your little tech lesson for today. Dipole. This is my field portable dipole. Okay. These are 2 rolls of wire. This is not light wire. This is 18 gauge wire. This is a tough antenna. And you can see with the weight penalty that you're paying a little bit for that with this one. I intend to rebuild one of these out of that lightweight 26 gauge wire. And that will reduce the weight of this by half, at least, if not more. And all you need is your legs for the dipole. You need one for each side. You need some sort of center insulator to connect them to. This is a homebrew one with a PL 259 that I tossed together. Some bank line there to hang it with. This is a homemade one. So you can homebrew something if you need to. This one's been used a lot of years by me. I like this one. You see the camo paint wearing off a little bit. And in the last video, I did a test with a balun that I wound. I wanted to show you guys this before I heat shrink it, because once I heat shrink it, you won't be able to see it anymore and what's going on here. But this is a 1-to-1 balun. It's a current balun. And I just put basically use the same winder that you guys saw on the end-fed half-wave, only instead of a 49-to-1, I just took RG 174 and I did 11 turns around a mix 43 ferrite and then landed it up here to use as a 1-to-1 current balun. I've not used a lot of 1-to-1 current baluns with dipoles. Typically, I don't use them. There's a lot of debate and argument on the internet as to whether you need them or not. I'm going to continue to test that debate in my own personal experience. I haven't seen a ton of difference, but we're going to run this one for a while and see. But as you can see, if I toss that on there, we're at 1 pound, 5.7 ounces. So this one, like I said, is a little heavier. This antenna, as it stands, will do 20, 40, and 80 meters. Now, this one could do a lot more if we wanted to. It could do 10, 15, well, and it'll do 15. I will tell you that. It will do 15 on the 40-meter link. It will. So, this antenna will do 20, 40, and 80 meters. It could do a lot more. That is the benefit of a dipole that is linked. But as this one was put together, it just does 20, 40, and 80 because that was what I needed. The next incarnation will definitely do 10 and 30. 30 meters is a great digital band if you've not messed with it. It is very handy in the very middle of the day when 40 meters just won't quite get the job done and 20 meters skips over what you're trying to get to. These are very simple to make. It's a dipole, okay? 468 divided by frequency in megahertz will get you your dipole length. And obviously, you cut that in half and you use, 1/2 for each side. So, and then you tune that when you're making a linked dipole, you tune it, and then you add an insulator like this. This is a little piece of plastic and a connector that you can plug and unplug. And some people use power poles. These are just really cheap bullet connectors. Some people use those really nice bullet connectors, little banana connectors I use on the InFed halfwave, which is what I'll use on the lightweight version of this. But you hang this antenna up, and then whichever band you want to operate on, you connect the appropriate links to make the antenna that long, and you disconnect the appropriate links to shorten it to the band that you want to use. Not a fast band swap, but at the exchange of being incredibly efficient. This is the most efficient antenna that you're likely going to get portable. It radiates pretty much all the power that it gets. There's no matching network to lose power in, no nothing. So I really recommend these. Another trick I can do with this antenna that some of you might find interesting. This antenna is tuned for the bottom of 80 meters, the true 80 meter band, because I mostly do digital. But I can put a couple of lines of wire around each leg and roll it back up on here and get it to work very well in the 75 meter phone band. So you can install a link, or you can just roll some wire up and get this antenna to work on 75 meters as well. But with these two, this gives me all the bands that I commonly use, and will do so 100 watts, no problem. 100 watts digital continuous, no problem. I'd put more than 100 watts through this. Probably would start getting nervous around 500, but great portable antenna. Like I said, I'm going to build another one out of lighter wire. This was just made out of 18 gauge wire that was cheap. I think at the time I bought it, it was like $50 for 1,000 feet of it. And that's enough to build 134 feet. You guys do the math. You know, somewhere in the ballpark, 7 antennas. Pretty inexpensive. 7 antennas for $50. Not counting, you know, the little other bits and bobbles, but they don't add up to a whole bunch, especially if you don't use a bowline. All right, I want to talk about some accessories for field portable antennas, particularly with HF, because obviously you've got to hang these antennas up. Okay, so this Atwood rope is what I use a lot of. I've got a unopened roll here to show you guys. I think I paid, yeah, this one still got the price sticker on it. So I paid $5.95 a roll for this stuff. It's 125 feet of 3/64 inch rope with a 100-pound brake strength. So this is great for hanging antennas. It's very lightweight. It comes in a nice little roll. You can get it in the solid green or this kind of camouflaged looking stuff. This is great for discreet hanging up an HF antenna. One roll if you're doing a InFed half-wave, or if you're doing an inverted V. We didn't talk about that with the dipole. So when we think dipoles, we usually think flat top. Well, if you need to set up a dipole in a hurry, or you want a little bit better performance at a little bit more distance as well, the inverted V. So think you take a V and you turn it upside down. You hoist your center insulator up to the level that you want your apex to be, and then you pull the legs of the antenna out in an inverted V, and then you just tie them off at the ground with something, or trees or something, you know, a few feet up as you can. The benefit of that is, from an antenna engineering perspective, the current node in the antenna, the maximum current in the antenna, is right here. It's at the apex. So a bulk of your RF actually radiates from there, and the ends being closer to the ground, yeah, it affects it, but a little bit less so. So this is the antenna that you guys saw me use 300 milliwatts to send a couple of messages via VARA using WinLink and an application called Vierum, about 250, 300 kilometers in one of the last videos I posted. So really recommend those. Another rope that you can get that I use quite a bit, this is a Mason's line. You know, like You hang the little level on when you're laying block. This stuff you can get, like I got this in camouflage. It's pretty inexpensive too. It's another lightweight option. And this video wouldn't be complete without talking about coax for a minute. We talk about field portable HF. Lightweight is a thing. So this is RG174. It is an extremely lossy coax, but at HF frequencies, especially when we stay below 14 megahertz, so if we're operating 20 meters or lower, the loss on it is really not that bad. This is 15 feet. I think I'm going to replace this with a 25 or 30 foot piece, just so I can get an antenna a little higher. But this was the coax you saw me use with the 300 milliwatt on 40 meter thing. This stuff is awful at VHF and UHF frequencies, but low frequencies like we use, it's a great lightweight solution. You can see it is super duper flexible. It's not super duper rugged, but as long as you don't abuse it, it stands up just fine. It's got a very fine stranded center conductor, so it deals with flexing quite well. I use this stuff for field portable HF a lot. I know the in thing on YouTube is to use RG316, which is this little stuff. I don't like it. It's used a lot in high power RF and inside of equipment where that you need the heat rating. The Teflon insulation on this has a very high temp rating that this does not. That allows you to push obscene power levels through this without melting it in spite of the losses. And it allows you to operate it inside equipment that is very hot during operation. So it's popular for that, but it's just, besides the color, because you'd have to paint this for it to not, stand out horribly in a, in the woods. But it's also, it's not, I kind of hang this around here. It's springier because it's got a silver coated steel or copper clad steel, and some of it has a silver plate on it as well. Center conductor. It's springy, whereas this stuff, the RG174, is, it won't hold itself up hardly at all. It's like a limp noodle. So I find it works better. So, a couple things there for coax, because when you compare this to like the short length of RG58 that I have here, this is 3 feet of RG58. It is a much larger cable. Obviously, for longer lengths, more rugged situations, this is the coax I would use. If I was setting up at like an EOC or an emergency shelter or something like that, where I had vehicle mobile capabilities to move my gear, I would definitely use this. If I'm carrying it in my pocket and hiking, this is the antenna but the coax for sure that I am going to look at purely out of a weight consideration for that. And then on the other side with this, for the rugged configuration, I would either use the 58 or I would actually use an RG8X. We'll do a video on coax one day. Be careful with RG8X. There's a lot of RG8X out there marketed to CB that is absolute crap, and you don't want anything to do with it. But there is good RG8X out there. So that is the discussion on HF portable antennas. I hope you guys found this valuable. I hope it is something that you guys find useful, and see the need to share with other folks. If you do find this useful, please consider sharing it with your friends that might also find it useful. Hit the subscribe button and like the video, because that helps me get more views, which helps us get to a bigger audience of folks that may find it beneficial. 7-3 guys, have a wonderful summer.